serious? Dog spelled backwards, God. I don't think there's any coincidence in that, actually. The dog does know much more than the human because the dog is anchored. It's grounded in its physical body, unlike most humans. And actually, that's a really good point, because if you think about it, humans get really stuck in their heads, in their stories. It's what intellectuals are. But they don't realize that when they're stuck in their story, when they're being fed information, whether it's by mainstream media, whether it's by the educational system, they're acting as terminals to that information. So they can feel possessed and by the information coming in and want to defend or justify or lash out to protect the information that's being downloaded into them. It's not an authentic connection with the kingdom of heaven within, which is their own innate wisdom and what I refer to as new information in my book, Soul Center. So because these floating heads are so captivated by the story of something on TV or what they're hearing in social media or seeing in it, they're removed emotionally from their bodies, which means they're not grounded. You can't be grounded unless you're in your physical body experiencing your emotions, and is why it's so important and valuable to be emotionally accountable, right? So to be emotionally accountable, for example, would be somebody that gets triggered by somebody and seizes the opportunity to use the story as ammunition to access the emotion that's contained within the story and then go in to heal that. So they don't turn around and make the other person wrong for what happened and or try to justify whatever information it is that's being held up within them. Instead, they go into self-reflection. And the more that you do that, the more anchored you are. The more anchored you are, the more in alignment you are with the kingdom of heaven within, which is your new information. This makes you less wobbly out there. This makes you less bendable of a person. You're not as willing to just be told what to do, how to act, what to believe, what your truths are. Like, think about that, right? Somebody out there in the government says, here, take this, blah, 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 and you openly and willingly do it because they told you to. There's no inner reflection over it. So what's happening is, in that moment, you're a terminal to that information. You're totally on autopilot to the information coming in. Whereas somebody that's anchored would say, oh, okay, I'm gonna sit with that information. I'm gonna see how it feels first before I just go ahead and do something like that. I'm not gonna just think in that cartoon bubble of what's being downloaded into me that that's the right thing to do. No, I'm gonna move out of the thinking bubble and into my body and sit with how that feels. Again, where the emotions are. And what these floating heads don't realize is being stuck in your head all the time keeps you from a harmonious internal state of being. You're more in your sympathetic nervous system. It's like being ejected from a jet. You're hovering above your body, right? The jet being the body. You're not really in it, so to speak, on an emotional level. And the longer you're out there, the longer you're hovering, the less familiar it is to be in your body, right? You feel uncomfortable, you feel restless all the time. You can't sit still, you're moving a lot. This city's not good enough. I'll stay here for maybe a few years and then I gotta be on to the next thing. You can never settle down in one city, one home, one anything because you're so uncomfortable in your skin, but only because you're up here. A lot of people that fixate and hyper-fixate on politics, like they'll turn the TV on and they have these visceral reactions to what's going on in the media. And they're thinking that that's real in that moment. They're not understanding that this is real. The physical body of where they're sitting in this moment is real. And the reason for that is because they're not anchored. They spend very little time in the present moment, and they spend majority of their time being fed information, captivated by the movie out there. And I'm not saying politics is bad. I'm not saying turn off your TV, turn off all of social media or anything like that. Stay updated, whatever you need to do. But notice when you're being a terminal, which is also a consumer of energy, versus a battery, somebody who's anchored and again, connected with the feeling of something and understanding the reality of where they're at, and how when they're fixated on something that's outside of where they're at, they're taking their bodies into a rapid aging process that only deteriorates the body more. So again, the longer that I'm out there, the longer that the host is away, the more the body is surviving, right? Versus when the host is at home and the body is now in a thriving state, or what we could say a more parasympathetic state. Not like we want to be teeter-tottering too far one side to the other. We actually want a healthy center point in the nervous system. But it takes time to get there. It takes a willingness to be present and to recognize the difference between Fantasy Island, the TV, the cartoon bubble above your head. And it also takes a willingness to want to snap yourself out of being hypnotized by needing to justify or defend what you think you know, what's been taught into you, your learned behaviors, versus what you really know. Because thinking and knowing are two totally different things. And that's why I've always said that all thinking is the box. All intellectuals sit with this encased box on top of their shoulders, thinking they know everything, when in actuality, they don't inner know anything. And that's why they're in that state of always feeling uncomfortable. There's that lack of deep acceptance going on in them. So there's the void that's like a black hole, and is why they're consuming that energy from out there. And it's also why they're codependent in relationships. When you're already in a power outage, and another word for power is love. So when you're in a power outage, a love outage, you're wanting to take that from people. Right? There's this mentality out there, fake it till you make it. It's a real life coach, go get 'em, master class kind of mentality. Well, anything that has the word master in it makes things finite, right? If you think you've mastered something, it actually means you don't know anything about it because you put an end cap on it. And there's no such thing as an end when you understand that there's unlimited potential within you. But when you don't recognize that or truly innately understand that, because you're floating in the cartoon bubble, you're always going to look for the quick, fast, easy, and fake way out of your life. So maybe this video found you for a reason. Maybe it's time to snap yourself out of your own bullshit. Pop Fantasy Island. Stop getting fed information that only makes you feel restless, and sit with what feels uncomfortable in you. Allow yourself to fully feel those feelings through till exhaustion, so that those emotions can be reintegrated back in, so that they can stop zapping you and controlling you, right? They zap you, give you anxiety, give you worry, give you panic, because they're trying to get back in, because you keep pushing them out by trying to avoid certain things, by trying to cover them up with the positive affirmations, the fake bullshit of pretending to be somebody that you're not yet, right? So when you're ready to be a magnet to those things that you're truly wanting, you have to face all the things that truly feel uncomfortable first. And then when you do that, those things aren't temporary in your life. You're not getting these little dopamine hits. It's this constant stream of harmonious energy coming into your life. Because once you've worked through the pain, it's no longer pushing up against the opportunity and the potential. And you start recognizing how life isn't always going to be this smooth ride, but it's a hell of a lot smoother when you're not trying to avoid what feels uncomfortable. And the more that you do that, the more that you know. So you stop thinking about what you should do because you're anchored. You're no longer questioning it. You just know the direction that you're meant to be going in.